Have you ever wanted to poop in someone else's butt? A fecal transplant is a valid medical procedure that is sometimes employed to treat gastrointestinal issues, particularly colitis, that's caused by a bacteria called Clostridium difficile, I don't know. Feces from a healthy donor is taken and implanted into the recipient in a colonoscopy, depositing the healthy feces into the colon, ideally restoring the balance of good bacteria to bad bacteria. But what if you just wanted to put poop in someone else's butt for the fun of it? Well, in 2004, users of the Something Awful forums crowdfunded such a spectacle. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of Swap.avi. This video is sponsored by Wicked Clothes. You like this shirt I'm wearing? It says, "Have a nice day" in like a death metal type of font. Their shirts by Wicked Clothes. They got all kinds of wacky, spooky designs. Halloween shirts, skulls, cats. Let's take a look at some of the stuff they sent me. This guy's got ramen for brains, but that's okay, he's dead, he doesn't need them. Got a zombie Cerberus with some Japanese writing on it, and I'm not sure what the Japanese writing says, but it looks cool and that's the important part. Got a Grim Reaper saying, "Your suffering is just temporary." And I think that aesthetically might be my favorite design, but I'm torn between that and this tattoo style crow with a rose. And the shirts they're printed on are super soft and comfortable too. They're actually fans of the channel, so go check them out, and you can use coupon code WANG to get 10% off. Or if you want to save some time, you can get that coupon applied automatically by going to wickedclothes.com/wang. Or if you want an even bigger discount, you can also text WANG to phone number 666-420. Guaranteed to be at least twice as much off. Take a chance. Don't let the curiosity kill you. When Two Girls, One Cup burst onto the scene in 2007, there were pretty much two main types of reactions it would get. The first type, of course, being those sorts of reactions that you get in the reaction videos that are all over YouTube.
Oh, she's throwing up! Oh, she's got up!
But then you have a few people who are like, I've seen worse. A great many people who fell into the latter category had already been exposed to something that encompassed everything you saw in Two Girls, One Cup and so much more. Swap.avi. 1 hour and 3 minutes of pure fecal depravity. The story of Swap.avi, like many things in this period of time, begins on the Something Awful forums on January 20th of 2004. A user named Metis creates a thread entitled "New Fetish, Scat Swapping." Metis begins by saying that he was browsing a website called scatinbrazil.com. And he states this so casually that you can just assume that this was a regular activity for him. But this time, during his Scat in Brazil fun times, he noticed something. They now offer a custom video service. This service allowed you to select your actress or actresses that you wanted, as well as your preferred fetish from their list of options. So essentially, this is basically like Cameo but decades earlier, with more poop. Once you make your selections, you write your script, submit it, and once the producers approve your script, your film is completed 10 days after payment. The only limitations are that there's no hardcore scenes, no armor-piercing objects, no very severe tortures, no menstruation, or any kind of blood. But most importantly, if you had a fetish that didn't involve any of these elements but it wasn't listed, you could just email them directly and see if the directors were down. Metis took this as a challenge to invent a brand new fetish. I had this idea to request a fetish/movie never done in porn or life before. I call it scat swapping. Scat swapping can be summed up quite eloquently in the following custom movie requests I sent to them. I've read the rules for requesting a movie to be made, and it said that if I have a fetish that is different from what is offered, you may be able to talk to the directors and work something out. I got a great idea while watching some scat movies recently. Scat swapping. This would basically be a movie where one woman's ass is penetrated by fingering and tonguing and fisting to make her anus very loose. A third woman will pull her anus open further and hold it open. Meanwhile, the second woman, the scat giver, shits in the first woman's open ass. The woman whose ass has been shit in will then shit the scat giver's shit back out, and everyone will eat it. If possible, I would also like it if the women were able to vomit in the woman's ass along with the shit, or afterwards, so that the vomit could also be shit out and eaten. Please get back to me and let me know if this is something you can accomplish in a video, and if so, how much it will cost. Thank you. I'm loving the mix of cordial, business-like language with detailed descriptions of what he'd like to see done with shit and vomit. At this point though, a lot of people on the forums are convinced that Mendonça is some kind of a troll, or just a guy trying to be funny. But he just keeps reiterating his status as some sort of scat aficionado, mentioning his preference for German and Brazilian scat over Japanese, which he finds disgusting. And he's also not a fan of diarrhea. It's gotta be mushy at most. And he also asserts that poop doesn't taste as bad as you think. It goes on to mention a favorite video in his collection. And funny you mentioned cooked food in scat. I have a large MPEG called pastascat.mpeg, where a dozen women eat pasta, get naked, shit in the pasta, eat the shit and pasta, then shit in each other's mouths, all while vomiting in each other's mouths and attempting to swallow the shit they get in their mouths. It's hubbed, SA Medits, and very popular lately. And a couple days after his initial request, he gets an email from the company. A scat movie with 2 girls cost US $350 plus shipping, and you could pay US $150 for additional girl. This is the price for you make your own video. What do you think about it? Please let me know. Foreboding ellipses. He can't afford all of this on his own though, so he starts setting up a PayPal account to accept donations. But he's not going to accept any until he gets confirmation that this is being made, so he waits on their response. In the meantime, forum goons question why this would get him off, and he goes in detail. Oh, I figured to not answer because when I reply too much in my own thread, people bash me. I like scat because it's demeaning to women in a sexual way. It makes them subordinate to the extreme because eating shit is the worst thing anyone can do besides cannibalism. Honestly, I feel like I rate that worse than cannibalism. Like if I had to choose, especially knowing that the foot taco guy, his situation didn't turn out so bad, I definitely would rather just eat human flesh. Even look back to Greek/Roman writings, the Bible even. There's scat in comical and also dramatic senses. It's always been there. It's one of the most disgusting taboos, and sometimes I like to get off to the depravity of a woman who is willing to swallow someone's shit. On a side note, here are the rest of my fetishes so you may further understand that I am simply deviant and enjoy so-called disgusting things, because I feel that they are not disgusting but beautiful. 1. Heavy or light facial acne. 2. Big noses. 3. Protruding chins. 3. Stretch marks/chubby chicks. 4. Female bellies. 5. Ugly girls. So you see, I don't believe there is one paradigm by which women and sexual interests must be judged. Because I can also like what everyone else likes at times, but I believe those who harshly judge the interests of others are close-minded. And still, even with all the highly detailed posts, many of which it almost seems like Metis got off a little writing them, a lot of goons weren't fully convinced of his commitment to scat. So they request that he verify this by taking a picture of himself with shit smeared on his chest, spelling the words comedy gold. And believe it or not, he did it. This had more or less fully sold the forum on the man's authenticity. And as this happens, he receives another response from the production company. For them to be sure that they can do this, he needs to send a more detailed script. He comes up with a set where there's 3 girls in a classroom. The students get excited by the teacher's ass, and then the teacher drops the chalk, bends over, and they just can't control themselves anymore. They start stripping and playing with themselves. And then the students finger and eat the teacher's ass to open it up a little bit. One girl shits into the teacher's ass, the shit gets double shitted into a mouth, yada yada yada, you get the gist. And he does have some final caveats. Emphasis, after the shit is expelled, should always be on swallowing and sharing the scat with each other. The girls should always open their mouths to show what they're chewing and swallowing. And if anyone vomits, it should be into the mouth or ass of another girl. He also requested all the girls call each other mommy. As things are moving along, he asked the forum if people would be willing to donate, and several are on board. He quickly gets a reply from the company who responded that reading the script made the girls very horny. Which I guess, good for them. I mean, what more can you ask than having a job you love? In any case, now it's time to start raising that $500. As an incentive, Metis offers up some of his personal belongings in exchange for donations. These belongings include PlayStation 2, Silent Hill 2 and 3, and before you say anything, Silent Hill 4 wasn't out yet. Tool albums, because of course the shit swap guy was into Tool. Also KMFDM albums, and movies on DVD including Fight Club, Existenz, The Matrix, and many, many more. And also the donors would have their names in the credits, because you know, it's basically what a producer is. He also notes that it's $150 for an extra girl, so if they reach 500 fast enough, they could potentially raise $650 and get a 4th girl. And in a matter of days, that $650 stretch goal is reached. And just before the final payment comes up, Forum Goon Uke comes up with the idea to insert some Something Awful references into the video. Since the classroom, putting it on the chalkboard would make sense. The payment is made, the prizes are sent, and now the waiting game begins. It should just be 10 days. But of course, people are impatient, and even within that 10-day period, people are coming into the post and being like, hey, where's that poop swap movie I paid good money for? But he assures people that it's coming. 7 days into the wait, the original thread gets locked and Menace makes a new thread. Then the 10th day passes though, and still no movie. But are they counting weekends? Do they have weekends off? We don't know. Did they mean 10 days from when they receive the payment, or when they start production? Or as user Conzilla suggested, maybe in Brazil, 10 days is actually 20 days. In the meantime, word of these shenanigans are spreading to other forums, including the Suicide Girls forums, where someone points out that this actually isn't a new fetish. In fact, there's already a name for it. The Manhattan Transfer, which, as a lifelong New Yorker, fills me with a sense of pride. Well, then more time passes, and we're well past the 20 days estimate of Brazilian time conversion. It's now March. The forum users are becoming increasingly convinced that either Metis got scammed or he himself is a scammer, which I guess in a way would kind of be the perfect crime. If you get your money stolen trying to produce Brazilian scat porn, you're probably not going to tell that many people you got scammed. Ultimately, Metis gets permabanned from the forums. A combination of not delivering on this video, the moderators simply finding him annoying, and also trying to dox the moderator who closed his original thread. So everyone just figures it's a thing that's not going to happen and everyone kind of moves on. That is, until March 31st. A user named Cannibal who knows Metis claims that he was sent 20 preview pics of the video, and it's almost done. Most are shocked that this thing actually turned out to be real, but a few people still aren't quite convinced it's legit. This could be another scat video they're just saying is his video, but there's a little detail that seals its authenticity. The chalkboard, full of something awful references. This maniac actually did it. But still, months pass. And it isn't until June 26th that a user named The Onion shows up, poop video in hand, as a torrent file. And it's basically just as Metis envisioned it. The film opens with saucy 80s guitar music, and DeVry Institute level CG animation of a farm with birds flying over it for some reason. Then the title hits, Scat Swapping School Swallow. The credits roll, and it should be noted the editor Marco Villanova is in fact the director of Two Girls, One Cup. And in fact, it's been a point of contention whether or not one of the girls in the video is in Two Girls, One Cup. But I can 100% confirm that she is. So what I did is, I sat there and looked for parts where their tattoos were visible, and sure enough, the one girl's neck tattoo matches up with Two Girls, One Cup. So she is in fact in both videos. They're in the classroom, and we're told this is a classroom by the Mickey Mouse and bananas in pajamas toys strewn about. Got colorful numbers stuck to the wall, and a chalkboard too small for the students to ever actually learn anything, as the teacher writes something oval catchphrases like, "But did you get head?" Then the teacher drops the chalk, which naturally leads to an ass-eating frenzy, and then poop in the butt. From that point, for an hour, shit and puke go into every possible hole that shit and puke could possibly go into, and the whole thing leads to a big shit-covered giggle fest. There's honestly not too much for me to summarize about this, because as you might be surprised, it's a little thin on plot. But if you really want to find it and see for yourself, it can be found. Something that should be noted though, even though he was promised poop in the butt, it's more like the poop goes on the butt and then they shove it in by hand, which some users questioned the technicality of that Manhattan transfer. Does it count? So the Onion responded, yeah, cold for shitting in each other's asses, but these girls had that kind of runny shit, so they couldn't really do a clean transfer like he wanted, so cramming it in each other's asses was pretty much all they could do. Menace didn't display any sort of disappointment to me. He seemed to think this video was really funny, but in actuality, I think he can't stop jerking off to it. So there you go, Swap.avi had a happy ending after all. Although I have to say, I did see a lot of posts about people burning this movie and leaving them in unsuspecting places, under all kinds of misleading decoy names. You have to wonder if there's people out there who just happen to stumble upon this that way, and until this very moment had gone their entire lives wondering about what it was they had actually found. But anyway, if you like this video, check out my video about Two Girls, One Cup. I'm out.